Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Indie Strings podcast. Thanks so much for everyone returning, and welcome any new viewers. And wow, 8 weeks. It doesn't seem like a high number, but I'm so excited. It was such a wonderful week this past week, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with all of you. And if I could say excited one more time, maybe that would, let you understand how I'm feeling. Ridiculous. Anyways, the great things that happened this week, there's been lots of new members in the Ravelry group, so thank you for joining. It's so much fun to be able to read your guys' posts, be able to respond, be able to see what you guys do in the introduction thread and all of that. I ask kind of quirky, weird questions because I think those little things really tell us something about each one of us that's so individualized and spunky, and I love to get to know everyone on those personal levels. It's so great. I don't know anyone that knits around me, and so it's like you guys are really becoming my knitting group, my knitting friends, and that's so wonderful. I really didn't think that I would ever have that, so I don't know. It just makes me so happy. And then the big two things that happened in regards to the podcast this week are I want to say a big thank you to Dawn from Wolfe Farms who mentioned me on her podcast. Thank you so much. Woo woo. That's awesome. So if you're coming from there, just thank you for giving us a chance. And the second thing that happened is I'm on iTunes. I know. Can you believe it took me 8 weeks to figure everything out, but I'm finally there. So I'm on iTunes, so you'll be able to search me on there, add me, subscribe, and all of that good jazz that you all like to do. And I know there were several of you that mentioned that you really wanted me to be on iTunes, so hopefully this helps you, and it helps me a little bit as well. And I can get all the kinks worked out of the system and be smooth running after this. And so really, let's jump right into what we're knitting this week. A little funky week. I had knitting ADD. So, be that as it may, let's go in. The first thing that I'm knitting on is I'm still knitting on my sweater, which is The Drifting by Cicely Golick McDonald. And it doesn't look very much different. It doesn't look very different. So that's top-down raglan. It's out of Little Bicycle Merino silk in the Spice Road colorway. And really all I did was separate for the sleeves. So now you can see that the sleeves are on the placeholder yarn. And I picked up. So you pick up, I think it's 62 for my size. I had to pick up 62 stitches up front. And the first side went swimmingly. Let me show you how awesome the first side looks. Hopefully it'll, and you see how there's that little, like almost ridge of really, really nice laid stitches. So that side, lickety split, picked up amazing, love it. The second side, not loving it. And I have probably ripped it out and picked it up 3 times. And the reason why is because I alternated skeins on that side. And so I'm not getting the same line. This time is the best out of all of them. Maybe you can see. It's not as nice. There's like little spaces where you get, it almost looks like a purl bump, or there is odd spacing to the eye in between those nice ladders. And so I put it down for a few days to be able to figure out what I want to do after I was so frustrated. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically run a piece of yarn. I'm going to thread it in a tapestry needle. Then after I get it done and after I block it, I'm going to run it up because that just looks like a running stitch. And I'm going to fill in the spaces so it looks correct to the naked eye. I think that'll fix it enough that it will look acceptable. And blocking will help a little bit. But oh, the other side is so perfect and wonderful. And then this side, oh, it's like yarn barf. Ugh. It's disappointing. I think I can fix it, and I think it'll be fine, but you ever knit along and you kind of get a little disappointed? And it's not that I fell out of love with the project. I didn't. I really like the yarn actually, except for some quality issues. But I like the gauge that I'm knitting it up. I really want the finished object. It's just sometimes I have to set it down and I have to walk away because I'm not a perfectionist. I don't like to rip back. I don't like to redo things. But at the same time, it has to be non-noticeable to the naked eye. And this is like right in the front. There's no way you're not going to see it. So I kind of had to distance myself, but I think that I have a good solution. And I should start knitting on that again this week. So there you go. Woo, it's in my Fat Squirrel Speaks bag with the handle. And I love these. I love this handle. I don't know why, but ooh, I love it. So the second thing I'm knitting is the spiral cowl. And I'll actually get a picture of that for you up. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And when we talked last week, I did tell you I was going to do a cowl, but I told you I was going to do, it's a cowl. I'm doing, oh, isn't it beautiful? I think the Pearl Soho pattern, the bandana cowl. And I think I'll knit that in the future. But I was going to have to modify it for my weight of yarn or hold my yarn double. And there was quite a few things I needed to do. It had short rows. I was going to space it out. I just didn't want to think. Yeah, there it is. I didn't want to have to tinker with the pattern. The pattern is lovely as it is. And I can spin a bulky weight yarn in a day. So I'm just going to knit it with something else. And for my loveliness, I'm going to knit the spiral cowl. And so, I don't know if you remember, but this is hand spun that I received in a swap, and it was a 2F by hand swap, and it's super fine merino in 2 different colorways that were applied together, and I've been hoarding it for quite a while, like a year. So this is what I have so far. Isn't this great? So this is the top, and I did the picot edging, and then see if I can get it to focus. It's really looking really good with the hand spun yarn, and I like it. I went down a needle size from the recommended pattern. I believe I'm on a size 6, and this was written for a DK weight, and I have a light worsted, and so it's a little denser, but it's a cowl and it's just squishy. And I'm really happy. I'm about halfway there. So if I knit on it this week a little bit more, a week or two, and it'll be done. And I don't know if I'm going to add a button. I'll have to see if I have something that's acceptable. But I really love it, and I'm very happy with it. And I'm knitting this for the Knit Soul podcast, Cal. So I went into her group because I was like, I'm going to totally chat this up, man. I am knitting for your knit along, and I'm rocking it because this is awesome. And then I see that the knit along doesn't start to next month. So next month I will be with you in spirit, and I'm just giving the Cal, you know, a run through. Oh, it was an epic fail on my part, but you know, that's what you're gonna do. Just go with it. At this point, I'm not gonna rip it all the way out and start over to be able to participate in the Cal, you know, and be entered to win prizes. I don't need to win a prize anyways. I just want to be part of her group and a part of the essence of the cowl, which is knitting with gifted yarn, which I think is something that I really needed someone to push me to do. So I thank her for that. Next month I will drop in and chat it up while everyone else participates. But I'm keeping that in my Girl Cave bags. And this is her medium wedge. Fits in there perfectly. So that's great on that. And that's quite a bit. Finished half of that. And then I started another sock. Because you know what they say about sock knitters. I don't know if I would call myself a sock knitter at this point, but I'm knitting more socks. So this is trekking yarn. Isn't it so great? And you know this is a workhorse yarn when I've attempted to knit these socks 4 times. These socks are for my father, and I've had this yarn for 4 years at least. And I have tried these every which way. I've tried them toe up on magic loop, toe up double points, top down double points, 2 at a time magic loop. And I've never finished them. I've never gotten past the heel. Never. So this is, you know, tracking as a workhorse yarn, and thank goodness, because I have ripped out socks 4 times. 4 times. It's pathetic. I'm a knitter. Goodness gracious. And to be honest, I knit my first pair of socks kind of as like a test run, if you will. I don't know why, but I was like, there's just like a mental block at this point about these socks. So I figured I knitted 1 pair of socks, and so I can go forward and knit these for my father. So it's just 72 stitches. It's going to be a plain sock, which is really what's grabbing my attention. I know a lot of people don't like stockinette in the round or just plain back and forth, but it's my cup of gravy when I'm really slamming at work. You know, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and I work quite a bit. I work at night, and I work more than, I work about 10 hours a day, including at night sometimes. You know, they flex, but, and I have a family, and it's hard. And I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to think about my knitting. Now, that'll change, and I'll get into complicated stuff that's totally crazy and awesome, and I'll be loving it. But for right now, I just want something easy peasy breezy, ladies and gentlemen, and that is this sock. And so my dad, who is a male, of course, is color challenged. We don't say colorblind, we say color challenged in my family. And hopefully he will view this as manly enough, because my husband said it was iffy. I don't know what he's talking about. Looks manly to me. He's crazy, basically. It's what you chalk it up to. Opinionated and crazy. This is in my gray Poodle design bag, which I've never talked about her before. Isn't it cute? It's got little birdies on it. And I'm going to show you her tag. She is local to me, and she does have an Etsy shop. And I love her bags. A lot of her bags, what I do with this one, typically, if it is not holding my knitting, I have these everywhere with knitting in them, but also for my daughter, she's got like a ton of teeny, weeny little toys that if you step on, they dig into your feet and you want to scream. And so I instituted little bags. She doesn't like Tupperware. They're rigid. She doesn't feel like she can carry them around, but this is a little purse. And so a lot of times my knitting bags are repurposed as toy holders. And I have them in my purses, in my car, and then it's not like a little million pieces of Legos or little princess figurines strewn everywhere. And it makes it much more manageable. So double usage. So there's that. So 3 projects on the needles. Can you believe it? I can. It's been one of those weeks where I'm just, I don't know, I'm just pushing myself, which is good. I felt like I didn't get anything done this week to show you, but then I knit half a cowl. I'm almost done with the leg of that sock, and I worked for an hour or 2 on my sweater. So it doesn't look like on my sweater. That's sad, but I ripped that out and picked it up so many times. And so spinning. Let's move right along. I have no spinning. I didn't spin again this week. It's just going to be quiet for a while, I think, on that for several weeks until I have more time. And so truck along to enabling. So I just have a few things this week, because what kind of week is it without some yarn? A sad one, obviously. So I was sucked into the Girl Cave Bags update. She updates generally about every other week on a Sunday. And this is hard to see, but it's like little squirrely girls with birds in cages. And on the inside, it's coordinating fabric of little cages, birdies. Oh my gosh, and polka dots and orange and awesomeness. And I really love it. So, and I want to talk a little bit about her. Here is her card. She's got a great Ravelry group. It's not super active in a lot of posts, but she posts a preview in there, and she does have a schedule of her updates and events in there, which I find helpful. And then in every bag she sends, you get a little sample of a Lolo bar. And I use these. I use the big ones, and I love Lolo. So there you go on that. And so I saw this bag in her shop, and I was like, I really liked it. And I waffled with myself. And the whole reason why is not because I have too many bags. I mean, I do, but whatever. It's my prerogative, man. But I really don't like birds. And I don't like birds. And this is going to be a little rant, sorry, but it's pertinent. I lived in an apartment with 2 ladies in college. And I was not there for the summer. I went home to my hometown and worked. When I came back to school, they had birds in our apartment. Birds, people. Now, I know some people really love birds, and that's fantastic. But when you're 3 young women living in an apartment together, a bird chirping at 6 a.m. to wake you up, it's not something that is acceptable. Furthermore, they love these birds. I should say birds. They started out with 1, but then it just wasn't enough, so they got a second one. And they would let them fly around. And they would poop everywhere. And they thought it was, they would just like have like a bird walking on their head, pooping in their hair. I guess I shouldn't say pooping in their hair. It's not like that happened on a daily occurrence, but even the possibility that that could happen freaks me out. And so I like birds where they're supposed to be in nature. I don't really like birds as a pet, which is why I don't have one. But then I thought it was hilarious that I really love this little print. That's birds in cages. Makes no sense, but it's cute. My mind. If you can just imagine being 21 years old and walking into your first real apartment in college where you had agreed no pets, there's all these ground rules, and somebody's boyfriend had bought them a freaking bird. So mad about that. Oh, I hated those birds. Oh. Okay. Moving on from the college sagas. I ordered from Western Sky Knits. Lovely. She had a after show sale, and I have never tried her yarn, and I just got her fiber last week, so I thought I would try it. And I got this colorway, and I got 3 skeins. Look at how well they're matched. Isn't that awesome? And the colorway is vampy. It is like a cherry red. Maybe a little deeper. It's hard to... I'm not a red connoisseur, so my red vocab is a little lacking, but I told you guys that shawl last week, Tilt, that's in Wool People 5, that I was going to knit out of this yarn from Becoming Art. And I decided that her wedding colors are gray, black, maybe white, gray, and red. It's either black or white and red. Hold on a moment. Sorry about that. I'm back. My husband brought me a pop. It was really sweet. And then he snickered downstairs that I had to stop my podcast, and now I'm going to have to learn how to splice the video. So, you know, really wonderful that he's thinking about me and trying to expand my knowledge. Very limited knowledge of editing skills. Wasn't that nice? But he did bring me a pop, so. Beggars can't be choosers. So anyways, I'm going to knit her fun shawl out of this. These 3 red ones. So that will be the next thing that I cast on. And then partially why I started the sock. I was waiting for that to show up to see if it would work. And then these just jumped into the cart. It really wasn't my fault at all. These are called Chimney. Oh goodness, a luscious grayness. They're fabulous, and I love them. They're like charcoal, and they're really a nice semi-solid, and they match perfectly. And these skeins, this is her single ply fingering weight merino, 475 yards for 4 ounces. It is a light fingering, but 475 yards. How much can you do with that? How many like fingering weight cowls and shawls and awesomeness? I mean, that's really great yardage. So I'm super excited to try them out and see how they go. They feel good in this game, and if they just soften up just a tad bit in blocking, it'll be perfection. So again, I told you last time, this is only my 2nd time ordering from her, but her shipping was great. Her package was arrived safely. It was well packaged, protected from the elements, so can't complain. Lovely. And that's everything I got this week. Woo! And so now we're going to move on to the rants and raves section and basically talk about this week. So other than being talked about on the Wolfe Farms podcast, which was, you know, awesomeness, and kind of really, I just feel so blessed this week. Blessed that I have a great family, both my immediate family, my husband and my daughter, and my parents and my sisters. But I have extended family that I really love and I'm close to. And really thankful and blessed at all of you watching. I wanted to do a podcast for a really long time. And it wasn't so much that I was scared no one would watch. I really didn't think anyone would watch. I know I'm quirky and I'm different and a little crazy, but it's really taught me to appreciate me, if that makes sense. I work in a super corporate environment that doesn't really let me be me very often. And a lot of times I think everyone in life gets bogged down by their responsibilities and just life in general, and everything that has to be done. And so for this half an hour to hour a week, I have a place that I get to be me. So thanks. I really appreciate it. So on that sentimental journey, I'm going to talk about something sentimental. So this is kind of a rave, and it's going to be just about me and my family. So several years ago, more than 10 unfortunately, my mom's mom passed away. And I really loved my grandma. I'm going to tear not thinking about her, but she was a wonderful lady, and I hope I could be half the person she was. But she was a crocheter. My first memories, and I think we all have memories, the first time you picked up a crochet hook or a needle or some kind of craft that leads us to where we find ourselves today as knitters. And I can remember sitting in my grandpa's great big recliner with a hook and just chain plying and chain plying and chain plying and trying to figure it out and concentrating. And then after, you know, to me seemed like hours, but probably it was 5 minutes, being like, yeah, no. And I remember trying it a few times over and over and over again, and I never got past the chain. But my grandma would always be so patient with me. Whenever you went over to my grandma's house, if she was watching TV or taking some time out, she would be crocheting on her couch. She crocheted blankets, and I have blankets that she made, and I love them and cherish them muchly. And that really always spurred me when I started knitting and really loving knitting to think about what knitting means to me. But part of knitting for me is I was gracious enough, or lucky enough, I shouldn't say gracious, but lucky enough to get some of her tools, as I'm the only one in the needle arts in the family. So it's going to be so silly, but even this little thing, it's a crochet hook, and it's just a size G Boyle, probably 20 years old crochet hook. And I keep this with me all the time when I knit. And I have seam rippers that were hers that my sister gave me out of her sewing kit last year that I keep with me all the time. And it's these little things that really remind you who you are. And I know so many people who talk about their first time that they were able to pick something up, or those memories that they have. And so I think it's so wonderful that it can really knit us all together in so many different ways. And so I am really happy and thankful this week, even for something as little as probably this $3 crochet hook. Every single time I see it and every single time I touch it, I think about someone I loved so much. And wow, it's amazing, right? The power of memory. And just so happy. It's just a lot of happy memories. So maybe if you don't have something for someone you love, maybe you can put in a picture or a saying. I really like quotes too. So maybe you can put a quote in your notions bag. But I think it's so important to have something that even more makes this process and this journey through knitted items and giving them away and stashing and all the goodness of knitting, but really brings you back and brings you back to who you are. And for me, it's as simple as a crochet hook. So wow, am I lucky. And then the last thing I have is, yeah, lucky. I'm a lucky dog. Excuse me, thank you. Oh. But, so okay, someone won the 600 million Powerball. Spoiler alert, totally wasn't me. If I won the $600 million Powerball, this whole episode would have been, oh my God, I won this $600 million Powerball. It wasn't me. I typically don't play the big Powerballs. I don't know why. It's not statistically, my chances aren't any less than any other Powerball. But for me, I'd be happy if I won anything, right? So I'll take a low Powerball with no one bothering me and no media and anything else than a gigantic one. But so I went in and I bought a Powerball. And I've never even won anything ever on those. And I don't play a lot, maybe once a month. The lady's ringing me up. She comes back over and she hands them to me and she goes, well, here's your Powerball. I'm like, thanks, you know, I'm putting it into my wallet, and she goes, and here's a Mega Millions. What? I didn't want that. I only have $2 cash right now because I have to have the $2 to pay for the Powerball, and I don't have $1 to pay for the Mega Millions. So give it to the next guy. She's like, oh no, here you go. And on top of it, it says free Mega Millions. So I don't know if they're running a promo or what, but I got a free Mega Millions ticket. And it didn't cost anyone money. No one's going to get in trouble. Like, awesomeness. The first thing I thought was, man, don't give this to me and then your tail's going to be off and then you're going to get in trouble. Like, seriously, it's not worth $1 to me. But all cool. It's going to work out. So then I'm home and I'm beep-bopping along and listening to music thinking, man, I got something for free. That just brightened my whole week. But then I thought, did I just lose the little bit of luck I had on the free ticket? I bet you I did. Like the power of the luck with one free ticket. But hey, I'm going to take it and run with it and be happy about it, because seriously, if that's all that happens to me this week, it'll still be a good week. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry, I promise next week will be a little bit more crazy and upbeat. This one was a little sentimental. And I guess I'm just feeling that way tonight, so I went with it. Thank you so much. Come over, join the Ravelry group if you want. Start a topic, introduce yourself. Start, the knitting revolution of indie string, whatever that means. Means nothing. I just came up with it in my head and let it blurt out. So blah, blah, blah. And I'm on iTunes. So, search. I'm searchable on there. So find me up. I don't have cover art right now. So just go with it and please be nice about it. And have a wonderful week, and I'll be back with you next week and knit with some love. Bye, you guys.